Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. So, this will be your first class and this will be the introductory class. We will discuss here what we need to study, how we will study, the strategy and the topic in somewhat the basic manner, not in depth but in some basics. So, what is the syllabus first? Keep in mind that it is the abstract only, this syllabus. The whole syllabus I will provide you through the group. So first chapter will be human reproduction. Then we need to study about the reproductive health. Then the sex linked inheritance and sex determination. It comes under your genetics unit. And then biology and human welfare. And then the biotechnology and its applications. So these will be the topics that we need to study this year. So first we will study the human reproduction. This will be our first topic. In human reproduction, what are the different subtopics that we need to study? First, we will study about the different reproductive systems, the male's reproductive system and the female reproductive system. And then spermatogenesis process, then oogenesis process, and then the embryo development up to blastocyst formation, and then the menstrual cycle. There are some small topics that we need to cover. These are the main points. And lastly, the reproductive health. So first, we will discuss some basic terminology. I hope you all know this. Still, I am going to repeat this. So first, what is human physiology? Human physiology is to study the nature of human body. That is how different organs function at different level. We have already known that some physiological structures like digestive system and then excretory system, neural system, circulatory system. Likewise, reproductive system we will study in 12th. We have studied all these in 11th and this reproductive system will be studied in 12th. So this is human physiology. Then there is a term that is anatomy. What is anatomy? It is the internal study of the structure, internal study of the organs. So it is the study of internal structure of organisms and their different parts or body parts, you can say. What is histology? It is the study of tissues and tissue system. And then what is sexual dimorphism? Di means two, morphism means from the outer study. So from the outer study, how can we distinguish between a male and female? If the organisms can be differentiated whether they are male or female by seeing them from outside or externally, this phenomenon is known as sexual dimorphism. And humans, in a better way, they show sexual dimorphism. We can call them as dioecious organisms because they have two different sexes. In opposite to dioecious, there is another term that is monoecious. Those organisms who possess both the sexes in only a single organism, that is known as monoecious. And in dioecious, both the sexes are present in two different organisms or two different individuals. So then, there is a term that is reproduction. You know, production means to produce a human, because this is the topic of human reproduction. So we will produce a baby, human baby. And if this process is go and gone, it is known as reproduce. It means to produce again and again. This process is known as reproduction. So this can be of two types. Yes, one thing, reproduction is only seen in living organisms. It is a characteristic feature of the living organisms. Only the living organisms can reproduce. So this process can be done by two methods or two ways, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So the asexual reproduction is the primitive one. It is seen in some lower invertebrates. So here the sexes are not involved. One single organism can give rise to its copy or its clone. In case of sexual reproduction, it is seen in some higher organisms and higher vertebrates. Here the sexes are involved, like male and females are involved in this reproduction. We are studying here the human reproductions, so we will study about the sexual reproduction. Then cell, everyone knows about cells. Cells are the basic structural and functional unit of an organism. So there are two kinds of cells. One is somatic cell, another is germ cell. I hope you are all acquainted with this term, somatic cells and germ cells. Still I am going to discuss it. So what is somatic cell? Somatic cells are, these are any kind of cells in a multicellular organism that are not involved in the production of gametes. So except the gametic cells, the whole other cells are known as somatic cells. And then what are germ cells? Germ cells are the cells that form the reproductive cells or gametes. Those cells who produce gametes are known as germ cell, and rest of the other cells are known as somatic cells. Hope we will understand it. The cells that are responsible for the formation of gametes are known as germ cell, and rest of the other cells of the body is known as somatic cell. Then the somatic cells perform various functions of the body. Exactly. Then what are the function of the germ cells? They are responsible for the production of gametes. We will study about the gametes further. So in somatic cell, mitosis division is seen, and in case of germ cell, meiosis division is seen. So if we will take some examples of somatic cells, then it can be nerve cells, stomach cells, kidney cells, brain cells, etc. All the cells are somatic cells. If we will talk about the germ cells, only the sperm cell and the egg cell or ovum are the example of germ cells, because these are the gametes. Then what is mitosis and meiosis? These are the kind of cell division process. A cell divided into two, and there are some types of cell division, that is mitosis and meiosis. I hope you have studied in the 11th as well. So how does a cell divide? Mainly the cell divided by two processes. One is mitosis, another one is meiosis. So mitosis is the equational division and meiosis is the reductional division. Meiosis is again divided into meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. So in case of mitosis, the number of the cell increases exponentially. Exponentially the cell number increases. Exponentially means 2 to the power n, means 2 to 4, then 8, 16, 32, likewise. Exponential growth of the cells, or exponential number increases in the cells. Then what about the chromosome number? In case of mitosis, the chromosome number remains constant. That is, in a diploid cell, if a diploid cell is divided, then the daughter cells will be also diploid. So that is why mitosis is also known as equational division, because the number of chromosomes are remain constant or remain maintained. And in contrast to meiosis, it is just opposite to mitosis. Meiosis division is further divided into two, that is meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. The meiosis 1 division is the reductional division. Reductional means here the chromosome number reduced to half. From 2n there will be n number of chromosomes. The chromosome number reduced to half. And the meiosis 2 is just equal to mitosis. So this is the mitosis and meiosis in brief. From one cell there will be two cells, or if let's say here are 2n number of chromosomes. If this is a mitosis, then from one cell there will be two cells and the chromosome number will remain constant. It is also a diploid cell and the daughter cells will be also diploid in nature. That is why mitosis is known as equational division. And in case of meiosis, the division is reductional. So first let's say it is the mother cell having 2n number of chromosomes. So in meiosis 1, I have already said that meiosis 1 is reductional division. So the daughter cells will be of haploid. The chromosome number have reduced to its half. So these are haploid cells. the mother cell was diploid. Then meiosis 2 will be performed. So meiosis 2 is just equal to mitosis. So the cell number will increase exponentially and the chromosome number will remain constant. See, the chromosome number remain constant as the mother cell. So these are the haploid cell. So this is all about mitosis and meiosis. See here, this is a haploid cell, this is a diploid cell. You must be wondering what is haploid, what is diploid. These are new terms for you. So diploid is that where the chromosomes remain in pairs. See here, in pairs the chromosomes are there. If we will take a short example, let's say for an example, in case of humans, the number of chromosomes are 46. 46 chromosomes. In a cell there are 46 number of chromosomes. So these 46 numbers are actually said as diploid. If we will say that or assume that these are the cells of a human, and if this is a diploid cell, then it must contain 46 number of chromosomes. And if we will call as a haploid cell, then the chromosome number will reduce to its half, then the number will be 23. 23 number of chromosomes. See, there is only half of the chromosome. Here in case of diploid, the chromosomes are in pair, but in case of haploid, the chromosomes stay in half of the number. So always the gamete cells are haploid and the normal somatic cells of the body are in diploid state, because only in gamete cells or germ cells meiosis is performed. That is why the chromosome number is reduced to its half. But in case of somatic cell, always mitosis is performed. That is why the chromosome number always remains constant, that is diploid or 46. Then another term, what is gonads? There is a absolutely new term for everyone. What is gonads? So gonads are the primary sex organs of an organism. These are the primary sex organs. So gonads are obviously of two types. In case of male, the gonads are known as testes. Those are paired structure, I mean two testes are present. And in case of female, the gonads are ovaries. These are also paired structure. This is the sign of male and this is the sign of female. Okay. So testis is the male gonad and ovary is the female gonad. And from gonads, the gametes are produced. From gonads, gametes are produced. This is the function of the gonads. Then what is this process is called? The process of formation of gametes is known as gametogenesis. Genesis means formation. We have already known this. Genesis means formation. Then what do you mean by gametogenesis? The process of formation of gametes. I am writing here, process of formation of gametes is known as gametogenesis. So what are the different gametes? In case of male, the male gamete is known as sperm and the female gamete is known as ovum. The plural form is ova. So the male gamete, I am repeating again, from gonads, gametes are formed and by the process of gametogenesis. The male gamete is known as testis and the female gamete is known as ovary. These are paired structures. So from testis, the sperms are produced and from ovaries, the ova are produced. So the process of formation of sperms from the testis is known as spermatogenesis. What is spermatogenesis? The process of formation of sperm is known as spermatogenesis. And likewise, the process of formation of ovum is known as oogenesis. The process of formation of ovum is known as oogenesis and the process of formation of sperm is known as spermatogenesis. So the location of spermatogenesis is testis and the location of oogenesis is in ovaries. So next, what is gametes? These are the reproductive cells. Gametes are the reproductive cells. They are haploid in nature, very important. They are haploid in nature, I mean they have half the number of chromosomes. The male gametes are called as sperms and the female gametes are called as ova. See here, this is just a structure of egg or ovum and this is the structure of sperm. They are both haploid in nature, n number of chromosomes are there. And the process of formation of gametes is known as gametogenesis. The process through which the sperm is produced is known as spermatogenesis, and the process through which the ovum is produced is known as oogenesis. Hope these terms will be clear. So next, there is another term, what is zygote. So zygote is a diploid cell, okay, zygote is a diploid cell, 2n, I am writing here 2n for diploid. It is a diploid and it is single cell and diploid in nature, that is formed by the fusion of haploid sperm and ovum. By the fusion of haploid sperm, see here, the haploid sperm and the haploid egg or haploid ovum. By the fusion of the sperm and ovum, we will get a zygote, that is diploid in nature. N here and N here, N plus N, that is 2n. So 2n is the diploid state. So we can say that by fusion of the sperm and ovum, those were haploid in nature, we will get a single cell that is diploid in nature and we call it as zygote. And this fusion process, the fusion of the male gamete and female gamete, is known as, let me change the color, is known as fertilization. So what is fertilization? Fertilization is a process through which the fusion of the male gamete, that is sperm, and the female gamete, that is ovum, is occurred, through which a zygote is formed. So the product of the fertilization is a zygote. See, if we will talk about the course of development, then how a baby will be produced. So from first of all, the sperm will be produced and the ova will be produced. Fine, it will be the sperm and it will be the ovum. Both are haploid in nature. Then there will be fusion of the sperm and ovum, that is known as fertilization. So what is the product of fertilization? A single shell but diploid zygote. Then there will be further cell divisions, a series of cell division known as cleavage process. From one cell there will be 2, then 4, 8, likewise we will get 16, 32. Then there will be a stage known as blastula. After the blastula stage, there will be gastrula formation, and then the fetus, and then the baby will be produced. This is the whole course of development. We will study all these in detail, all this process in detail. This is only the overview. See, from a zygote, there will be embryo, then the fetus, then a baby will be produced. It is just for illustration. We will study in elaborate manner. So next, another term has here. What are hormones? You all know hormones. This is a very familiar term. So hormones are the chemical molecules and they are secreted by endocrine glands. Endocrine glands means those glands who are not having duct, or we can say them as ductless glands. They directly secrete the hormones into the blood. So the hormones act distally and they have low molecular weight. So if we will talk about some examples of hormones, then there will be testosterone, progesterone, growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, all of there are lots of hormones and we will study them in detail, that is testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone. We will study their functions as well. So this is it for today's class. Thank you everyone and happy learning.